So when people say they want to get out of the matrix, the first question I ask is, how come you want to get out? Because the thing that's keeping most people from getting out is they don't know why. They don't know the desire for getting out. All right. So we're going to look at the reasons, or not the reasons, the desires beneath. And those desires are often at the unconscious level. So the second thing is we're going to look at the two ways that people try to get out, and they don't realize there's a third way. And the first two ways are almost impossible to get out. But the third path, the secret path, the hidden path, the golden path, is what we're going to look at. So first of all, how come I desire to get out of the matrix? All right. So first of all, it's not just about getting out of the matrix. It's about experiencing life in abundance, right? It's about what you desire, right? Because if you are just wanting to get out, like you just don't like what it is, it's kind of like the teenager that just wants to get out of the house because they don't like the parents' rules, but they don't really have any vision for what they want, what kind of life they want, where they want to be, what kind of life they want to live. So the bigger picture is we don't escape the matrix by destroying it. We escape it by entering a deeper, more desirable matrix. And the key here is desire. Okay. Pay attention to desire, because the desire is the fuel to get us out of the matrix. And if we don't know what our desire is, we just are against something, then that will keep us all locked into it, right? We'll be fighting our parents and not getting away from the parents, right? So secondly, these desires happen at all levels. There's our head desire, our heart desire, our gut desire, and our body desire. And if they're not in alignment, we're not going to get out. So it's about aligning these desires. As soon as we fully desire it, then that is the key. And so let's look at this, right? The desirable matrix that we want to be in, there's different types of matrices. It's not like a matrix is bad. A matrix is just a womb. It's just a room. It's a field. It's a playing field, right? So you could be just like a baseball field. You could be in Little League. You could be out in your sandlot playing baseball. You could be in a Little League baseball diamond. You could be in a college baseball diamond, or you could be in the MLB field. But there's different fields. And if you don't like the league you're in, you want to go to a higher league, it's not just about complaining about the field. Okay. So real briefly, and we can go into this deeper later, but there's, 4 different types of matrices. There's the infant matrix, and that's when everything is done for you, right? There's really no ego, and you're fed, you're clothed, you're nurtured, you're protected, your shit is taken care of by others, right? That's the infant matrix that we're born into. And then around the time of potty training, we move into the child matrix, which is still most of your needs are taken care of for you. You're fed, you're clothed, you're nurtured, you're protected. But now the big difference is you're taking care of your own shit, right? You're being potty trained. So there's a new amount of freedom. You don't have to wait for someone to change your diapers. If you don't like being in your shit, you can take care of your shit, right? And that child matrix then moves into, you have a greater amount of freedom. You have freedom to do what you want, but as long as you follow your parents' rules, right? And then when the child moves into that adolescent phase, the teenager, the rebellious phase, they're rebellious because they want more freedom. They want freedom from their parents' rules. Yeah, they like all these things they get, but they don't like having to follow the rules. So this adolescent phase of a matrix is a lot of things are still being provided for you, the roof, the rent, the bills, the food, but you're doing more things on your own, right? But you don't like, I don't like that I have a curfew. I don't like, the rules for being in this house. So this is the matrix that we collectively are in right now. We're in this adolescent matrix. We get some things from this matrix, and part of us likes those things and is scared to move out on our own because that's a lot of responsibility. But we want the freedom that comes with being an adult, but we don't want to give up all the benefits or the perks, right? Just like Cypher, he liked all the perks of being in the Matrix, and so he went back in, even at the cost of giving up some power and knowledge. He would rather be ignorant and blissful. So there's this struggle that goes between these, and that's where we are collectively, and that's where a lot of people get stuck. That's the tough jump, right? But the adult matrix is you experience freedom to leave your parents and live on your own. You get to have deeper freedom. You get to be for what you desire. You get to say, I desire this, and I'm going to be for that. So it's a freedom for rather than a freedom against, right? A big shift, right? I'm doing all these things because this is the type of life I want to live. My parents had this kind of value. I have this kind of value, and I want to be able to live this kind of life. So, my parents didn't let me drink, and I want to be able to drink. So, my parents didn't let me bring friends over. So I want to be able to have friends over and, spend the night or whatever. So this adult matrix has greater power, greater freedom, but also greater responsibility. And that's really the tug and shove that keeps people living at home, living in the teenage matrix. Okay. But once you get to be an adult, you have that freedom, but you're sovereign, and you're living on your own, but it still may be difficult. You're not necessarily getting everything you desire because, I have to work all this time to pay my rent and pay my car. So this is a sort of in-between stage as well, developmentally. But once we get into the God matrix, that's this place where I have my freedom, I have my sovereignty, and I've got enough of my shit together that I'm able to live and pursue and get what I desire. And I'm living life as I desire without having to fight anyone. And I still communicate to my parents but it's on a co-sovereign level. They're like equal adults, right? And I can go visit them, they can visit me, but I'm living as a sovereign, and here's the key, I get to live life as I desire. And it's in beauty and truth. It doesn't mean I'm, stealing and taking away from other people's sovereignty to meet my desires, but I'm meeting my desires without stepping on or conflicting with other people's desires. Okay, so here's the big picture. We don't escape the matrix by destroying it, but by entering into a deeper, more desirable matrix. And the desire has to be the fuel that, keeps us going, right? So we have to really connect with that desire and make sure my heart wants it, my gut wants it, my body wants it, and my mind wants it. That's this alignment, right? That's like the greatest commandment is love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That's talking about that alignment of loves, and loves is desires. Okay. So this aliveness, this thing that Jesus says, I came that you might have aliveness, Zoe, aliveness, and that you might have it abundantly, like overflowing, right? And there's many words for this aliveness: prana, chi, pneuma, raush, like Austin Powers calls it mojo. There's many others, and you can look in here to see these, but I just want to show you, like sometimes it's called that flow or grace, or the French call it je ne sais quoi. It's that you can't say what it is, right? But and some philosophers have called it the élan vital, that vital life, or Nietzsche called it the will to power, or Spinoza conatus. So these are just different names for that same thing. Aristotle called it eudaimonia, well-spiritedness, so like flourishing. We want this flourishing. That's why we came here. We want flourishing. We want life and life in abundance. Okay? So here's the thing. There are two common escape plans, and the two are usually the first and the second, the red pill and the blue pill. And the first one is ascension. Ascension is the red pill. Like, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to have to suffer. I have my freedom, but I don't have the pleasures of life, right? So that's the red pill. The blue pill is just following the masses, right? And just doing what everyone else is doing. And if you just go along with things, you can live a comfortable life and just don't ask for too much freedom. Don't buck the system, because you're living in mom and dad's house. You're not living in your own house. So the blue pill is just to try to sort of pretend like you're sovereign, but you're still living at home, right? And so you can get in fights with your parents. You can blame them for having too many rules and too many curfews, and they're messing up your laundry, and you don't like the food that they're cooking, and you don't like your room. You don't like that they make you clean up your room, and you don't like that you have to do chores, right? This is like the Matrix. This is like if you are trying to still get all the benefits of living at home, but you're not wanting to go along with the rules, right? So these are the two things. Like, we have these competing desires between freedom and freedom that comes from knowing and taking the responsibility, and the benefits, the perks. But here's the third option, and it's paying attention to your own desire, and your own desire gets you out of the house, gets you into your own sovereign house, your own sovereign matrix, where you don't have to follow the rules of the matrix, right? So the trick is, you can leave anytime you want. You can just step out that door and walk out anytime you want out of the matrix. So we're not being kept in the matrix by some evil archon overlord. Yeah, they may make it tricky to leave, and there's lots of tricks, but the deepest secret is, if we are truly aligned with all our desires, we can just walk right out, and we have enough knowledge to take care of ourselves, right? We have the economy, we have the language, we have the wisdom to make it out there in the big world, where we can be fooled and we don't have mom and dad protecting us. Okay, so this third path, it's not ascension, and it's not just going down the wide road, but it's inscension. And inscension is going down into our desire. And so this is what I call the white rabbit, right? Instead of the red pill or the blue pill, the third path is inscension, right? It's going down into the rabbit hole, and the rabbit is our desire. So if you follow your desire, your true desire, not your fake desire, and we'll get to that in a second, but if you follow your true desire, then the rabbit will show you the way out. And they even played with the white rabbit in the Matrix movie, right? Neo, gets this knock at the door, and on the message, Trinity typed in, "Follow the white rabbit." And there's this woman with a rabbit tattoo on her shoulder, and they say, "Hey, you want to come with us to a party?" And he goes, "Okay, yep, I'm going to do it." All right. So he followed the rabbit. So that's the first step. Well, the first step after waking up and realizing that you're in a matrix, the first step out is to follow the rabbit. Okay. So these three pathways, I want to just lay them out a little more clearly. This one, the blue pill, is a mimetic desire, and it's not really, it's doing what we think we should desire. And we're like, you should want to clean up your room, and you should want to help out with the chores around house, and you should want to follow the rules, and you shouldn't want to, stay out later than your curfew, and you shouldn't want to do something on your own instead of, helping me around the house, right? So this is mimetic desire. We're told what we should and should not desire. And the red pill approach is like, okay, I'm just going to buckle down and I'm going to deny myself the asceticism. Like I'm going to have truth, even though it means suffering, right? Where this side is like blindness or the ignorant bliss. This is the struggle, and we're creating that. We think our house is a prison, and we think we're being kept here against our will. But the true, authentic desire, once we find our authentic desire, and we do it by going downward into our senses, and ascending is climbing up. That's the ascension. Ascension is through asceticism, but ascension is going like incendiary. It's going down into the fire, down into the like the core of the earth, right? It's going down into our senses and our incendiary, our what lights us on fire. So where's our fire? If you don't have a fire, you're not going to get out. If your fire, a dead fire, then you're not going to be able to get out. So you have to go start the fire or go fan the fire or put fuel on the fire. And that is the ascension path. And it's a downward path. Okay. Now we have a lot of misconceptions about what that downward path means. One of the great instructors and luminaries who light the pathway, they can't take the path. They can't give you step-by-step instructions for the path, but they illuminate the path. This is why I love to call them luminaries. And one of them is, of course, Carl Jung. And he says the blue pill is like the persona. That's this mimetic desire, right? And mimetic desire, real quickly, is fake desire, right? It's the word mimetic comes from imitate. So I'm imitating someone else's desire, right? Rene Girard talks about this, spent his whole career talking about it, and it's very insightful. But he says all our problems, all our suffering comes from mimetic desire, desiring something not because we like it, but because some model tells us that we should like it, some structure, some programming, some cultural belief. Oh, that person likes blondes, so I guess I like blondes. When maybe I don't. Right? Or that person likes McDonald's, so maybe I should like McDonald's. Well, maybe I don't. Maybe my true desire doesn't take me down that route, right? So mimetic desire is on a false model, right? But authentic desire is knowing what I truly desire and listening to my inner deepest desires. And everyone's desire is unique. Everyone has a different desire soul code, just like we have different like phone numbers that tell us where we are. It's our desires that really say who we are, right? And where we are, and what turns us on, what turns us off. And it's not that any of these things are good, bad. They're just what we desire. And you, just like in nature, like squirrels desire one thing and dogs desire another thing. Dogs desire to chase squirrels and trees desire another set of things, but there's overlapping things. But the thing for us to do is to find our authentic desire. So if I had to sum it up in one thing, say, how do you get out of the matrix that you're in into a matrix that you desire? It is through aligned, authentic, activated desire. It's that simple. Okay. But then how do we do that? Okay. So Carl Jung talks about the blue pill is the persona. That's the persona means mask. And so this is the mask that we put on, like, oh, I'm supposed to smile. Oh, now I'm supposed to frown. And so we put these on, even though underneath we might be feeling something different. Oh, I'm supposed to like this food and be polite, so I'll do this, even though I really don't, right? So that's the persona, mimetic desire. And his version of the red pill is, it's funny because so much of Jungian shadow work is talking about, oh, you got to go in there, find your shadow, muck about in all your, repressed complexes and just spend time doing that hard work in your shadow. Just do more shadow work. And I've done a lot of shadow work myself, and I've spent, decades helping other people do their shadow work. But there's an approach to it that is very ascetic, and it's very like religiously, dogmatically, like suffer, right? And suffering is the pathway. Okay, but there is a third way that even Jung talks about. What he really talks about is this golden shadow. It's this gold part of ourself that we reject because we're afraid of the gold, right? And in stories where the boy in Iron John, the myth, he's got this golden hair, but he wears a hat on it because he's afraid that people will judge him for his gold hair, right? And so he's afraid, and he's afraid of his own gold, right? And so that often is what is keeping us from getting out of the matrix, is we're hiding, repressing our own gold. All right. And another great example of this is the Wizard of Oz, right? The blue pill is Kansas. Everything's black and white. It's conformity. And then you move into the red pill. You leave Kansas. You leave the social conformity. But now, oh, this white witch says, oh, you got to go help me kill the wicked witch. And there's all these things fighting you. And it's not until she gets to this destination, to this Oz, and finds that he's just a man behind the curtains. And then eventually she gets told, oh, you already possess the magical shoes that you need to get you wherever you want to go, right? So that this is like the kingdom of heaven is within you, right? You're looking out there, going and finding this and that, but following the golden path. This is the yellow road, right? The yellow brick road. And Joseph Campbell talks about it in terms of the paved road. That's the road that everyone goes on. And then there's the right-hand path, which is the path of religion and severe spiritual rules, strict denial of the flesh, right? So those two paths, a lot, you'd have to work really, really hard. Maybe one out of a million really makes it following one of those two paths, right? Because the paved path is you're taking someone else's path. But the left-hand path is what he calls it. And he also is famous for follow your bliss. It's the golden path. And if there's no path there, it's a good chance that you're on that path. You follow the white rabbit. White rabbit's not taking you down a path. White rabbit is taking you down a new path. You're following your unique soul code of desire, and that is your path. It's through desire, but authentic desire. It's not just, follow whatever you're supposed to desire. I desire to get rich because everyone else does that. I desire to be a doctor and have 3 houses and a Lamborghini. That's what I want because you're supposed to want that, right? But it's no, you find what you truly desire. Okay, so these are just different examples of they're all saying the same thing. There's 3 options, and it's the third one that is often hidden. So there's the blue path, the red path, and the gold path, right? And just for one more example, there's many more, but Robert Johnson, he talks about the collective ego, just doing what everyone's doing. Then there's the pendulum whiplash, which is against the collective, but he literally calls it the golden path. So you're not just following a generic rabbit that someone pulls out of their hat and says, oh, here's your desire. This is what you should desire. The white rabbit is always within you. Okay. So that is the key. There's 3 paths. So once you get on this path, right? Once you realize, okay, I want to take the golden path, then what? Right? What do I do? Like Alice, right? Alice in Wonderland, she follows the white rabbit down the rabbit hole, and it takes her into this whole world. But that was just the beginning of the journey, right? And there is a very regular pattern. There's not one path for everyone, but there is a pattern to following a rabbit that is the same. And this is why we're going to look at a pattern language, and you need to find a pattern language. If you get a pattern language, it's like a key. And Alice in Wonderland is one of those pattern languages, right? And there are several pattern languages. Another one is Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is one of the best pattern languages to give you some patterns, give you lots of clues when you get stuck. And so we'll be looking at Rick and Morty. We'll be looking at Alice in Wonderland. We'll be looking at at Jung's Sermons to the Dead. We'll be looking at how these stories can be, if you read them through a pattern, through an archetypal lens, if you read them the right way, you can read them as just, you can read Alice in Wonderland as just a fairy story, a children's story, or you can read it as a escape plan, right? That gives you the patterns, regardless of where you are. You can use the pattern. Okay, so think in patterns, not literally. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to go into what are the 4 bases. If you decide, okay, I'm going to take the path of ascension, I'm going to take that golden path, then the question still is, okay, what do I do once I get there, right? What's the economy? What's the language that I need to speak there? I'm going to find all sorts of strange creatures. And this is where you cross the path into like the unordinary world, the strange world. You have the ordinary world, which is home. And once you get into the strange world, you're going to meet lions and bears and witches and giants and gargoyles and dwarfs and elves, and you don't know who's helping you and who's against you, and you don't know who's tricking you. You don't know, should I trust this person to help me or not? So it's all about learning how to navigate. And there are many different patterns, and there are many different pattern codes. You'd be amazed at how many of these books are actually escape plans, right? Or plans to help us escape this escape room, this matrix. And they're trying to tell you without telling you, right? They need to tell you in a pattern language, because if you take it literally, it'll keep you in the matrix. So all that to say, the next video, we're going to break it down into 4 bases: first base, second base, third base, home. And the game of baseball itself is an escape pattern game. That game was designed to talk about how to get you to the Elysian fields, to the divine, to the elixir, to the Holy Grail. So we'll watch for that in the next video.